Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be doing a review on the Hero Realms character and Ancestry expansions, so let's get into it. Alright, so real quick, we'll jump into a bit on how to play and use this expansion with the base set of Hero Realms, and then I'll dive into my review after that. Alright, so like I said, the character expansions and the Ancestry expansion go along with the base Hero Realms game. And so how you play is pretty much the exact same. It just makes little differences with your starting cards when you begin the game. So typically when you start the game, you're going to start with 7 gold, a ruby, a dagger, and then a short sword. And this is going to be the foundation deck that you begin the game with, and then as you play, you'll use gold to acquire new cards. You'll use your weapons to do damage to the other players and try and be the last player standing. And so in the base game, all players start with 50 health, and then again, like I said, your goal is to defeat the other players. And so you'll use gold to purchase new cards, improve your deck, get stronger, and then again, try and be the last player standing. Now when it comes to the character expansions and the Ancestry expansion, but depending on which character you choose, your base life might be a little bit different and you're going to start with some different starting cards in your deck. So for example, let's say you started with the Thief, you're going to start with 52 health instead of 50. You get these customized health tracker cards, which is pretty cool. And then the Thief has some base foundation cards. So each character is going to have a different ability or skill that's out there all the time. Typically, it's going to be a discard ability, so you can use it once and then you'll have to sacrifice it, and then you don't have access to this ability for the rest of the game. You also have this ability here as well. So in this case, it's Pickpocket, and this allows you to spend 2 gold and then you'll tap it to be able to make your target opponent discard a card, but then you also gain 3 health. So again, that's that ability. They start with throwing knives as a foundation item in your base set of cards in your starting deck, and then the rest is gold, and then the ruby. So again, each one of the characters that you use has a different set of health stats that you begin with, different set of base cards that you use. And then when it comes to the Ancestry expansion, you can see down here, there's different types of characters you can begin with. So you have the ogre, the orc, the small folk, or basically hobbit, the dwarf, and the elf. So again, just like the character expansions, they will alter your starting hit points for the game, and then some of them have additional abilities as well. So for example, the orc character cannot acquire the card closest to the market deck. So whenever there's a card right at the end there, they aren't able to buy that card. But then they have other abilities that might make them more powerful and give you a reason to choose them. The elf, for example, starts with 8 less hit points. You can draw 1 less card in your opening hand to start the game. But then again, it has some additional benefits where this replaces gold. So you'll take your original starting deck, the base game recommends, of 7 gold, the dagger, the short sword, and the ruby, and then you'll replace one of the golds with this. So instead of doing just 1 gold, you may also do healing yourself 2. So again, that's another cool card they have. Same thing with this one, you could spend 2 gold and you may discard a card to draw a card. And then this one, your skill cards cost 1 less gold this turn to use it. So for example, this would only cost 1 gold instead of 2. So again, cool different base cards that you start with the game, and really alters your play style and adding a lot of replayability to the game when you get these different expansions. But again, that's really the basics of how the character expansions and the Ancestry expansion works. So with that being said, let's jump into my review. Well again, now that you have a better idea on how this expansion works and how you can use it with the base Hero Realms game, what do I actually think about it? Well, for me, I really enjoy this expansion. Now you can buy each character individually, or there's a lot of different bundles if you check out on Amazon, for example, that sell all the character packs in one. Sometimes it's character packs with the Ancestry expansion and more. So I would definitely recommend doing that because again, unlike games like Magic the Gathering or a lot of collectible card games, you don't need to buy new packs again and again to try and get your ultimate deck. Instead, you can buy these expansions, and then that's all you need to buy. The base foundation game is a standalone game, but then all these expansions just can be integrated with that very easily. And so as you saw in the how to play section, you just simply swap out a couple cards, and all the rest of the rules stay basically the exact same as you play the game. Now in the base game, you're kind of like a generic hero, and then you try and be the last person standing. And in this game, you actually have more character traits and then fit into classic fantasy roles like a thief, a rogue, an elf, dwarf, and more. And I think the expansion did a really good job of making you feel like those specific characters when you played. So for example, when I played as the thief, there was a game that we went through and I stole one of my opponent's best cards and then used that against them. And so again, that was very fitting because I was taking cards away like a thief would naturally do. And then again, when I was playing as the cleric, some of their base cards that you switch out allow you to heal very often. And so I had a massive amount of hit points and ended up winning the game because of that. And so it's really cool to be able to use these different expansions in the base game. Hero Realms is definitely one of my favorite deck building games there is. And so just to be able to expand it a little bit more and add some additional replay value to the game is really cool. And so again, I think if you like fantasy deck building games, definitely check out Hero Realms at the very least, and then I think the expansions are definitely worth it. But again, to get your money's worth, I would definitely recommend getting it in some kind of bundle, because if you buy them individually, I feel like you're definitely going to want to try out the other expansions and the other characters available. I also think that depending on what character you're playing as can really alter your play style as you go through the game. For example, some characters allow you to do a lot of damage up front, but maybe they have less hit points, or maybe it costs them more to acquire cards from the market. And so with those characters, you might want to focus on doing heavy damage as quickly as possible to take out your opponent before they get cards that allow them to regain their health a lot and basically negate the extra damage that you're doing. Or again, you need to take them out quickly because it costs you so much more to acquire cards. It's harder to win in those cases. And so again, I think it really alters the base strategy that you might go into a game and can influence what cards you decide to buy from the market to better suit your character type. And so again, I really like that. All of the characters will give you different advantages, maybe different strengths, different weaknesses. And so I think that adds a lot to the base game as well. And again, the expansions aren't really that expensive, especially if you get it on a bundle and get a bunch of them in one. So again, I highly recommend checking out the character expansions, the Ancestry expansions, and more. When it comes to Hero Realms, it's a super fun deck building game and definitely should be added to your nerd library. But let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about the character expansions? Have you played them yet? Which ones look the best to you? Let me know what character you like playing as most. I'd love to chat about it more with you in the comments below. If you'd like to pick up Hero Realms and any of the character expansions, there'll be links in the description below where you can pick up some copies for yourself. If you guys like this video, be sure to smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. And if you'd like to help support the channel, pick out content and more, become a patron of ours at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And if you'd like to plug into our live streams and Let's Plays we do on the channel, you can follow us on Twitch at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.